Hi, everybody. This is Nanette Kennedy with Humanities Team and the Evolution Revolution. And we are reading What God Said by Neale Walsch today on February the 20th. And that's my cat. And anyway, it's February 20th of 2022. It's a bunch of twos today. Just now notice that. It's pretty cool, actually. Anyway, Linda, our reader, are you ready to start us off here?
I am.
Okay, what relative, we stopped in the middle of the chapter.
We stopped in the middle of the chapter. So we're reading chapter 9 of What God Said by Neale Walsch. And we stopped on page 91 where it says applying this message to everyday life.
Got it.
And so what's left is actually a fair amount of material. So if I go too long, just stop me, because I'm going to try and get through it in one reading.
Okay.
But if anybody wants to stop and discuss, just stop me.
Yeah, and raise your hand and I will know if you want Linda to stop. And just so everybody knows, because I don't know that everybody, Linda, I don't think you were here. Romy's got a conflicting class, 7-week class or something that she's doing at the same time.
Oh, that's why she's not here.
Yeah, that's why she's not here. So, all right. Well, take it away, Linda, and I'll keep my eyes for latecomers on the board here.
Okay, and I'm going to just read the last paragraph before we get into applying the message. Oneness is not a characteristic of life. Life is a characteristic of oneness. Life is the expression of oneness itself. God is the expression of life itself. God and life are one. You are a part of life. You do not and cannot stand outside of it. Therefore, you are a part of God. It is a circle. It cannot be broken. Applying this message to everyday life. Nothing has damaged humanity more than the 5 fallacies about God. Once we understand this, we can begin to live and create our lives in ways that demonstrate that these are fallacies and that exemplify the truth. Once again, we come across the big word, truth. In fact, there is no such thing as truth. And yes, we will talk more about this in chapter 14 when we explore CWG core message number 17. For now, let's use the term our truth. As I experience it, the word true is an acronym. When we say that something is true, what we are saying is that it is the reality understood existentially. And so in my world, in my own internal experience, in which I get to freely decide for myself what is so, the ideas about God that most humanity holds are mostly fallacies. And what is true is that God needs nothing. God could not fail to get what God needs if God did need something. God has not separated humanity from herself. God does not require us to give God anything, and God will never destroy us for not meeting God's non-existent requirements. By my living this truth, my life becomes a reflection of it. The dictionary defines reflection as that which indicates, shows, displays, demonstrates, offers evidence of, registers, reveals, discloses, expresses, communicates, and evinces. So when my life becomes a reflection of my freely chosen internal experience, My outer world becomes a mirror image of my inner world, which then becomes a mirror of my outer world, which then becomes a bigger mirror of my inner world, as each continues to reflect the other upon the other, producing an entire life of deep reflection. I have found that such ongoing moments of deep reflection generate outgoing moments of great joy, as the illusions of life are at last broken, or more correctly, as other people's illusions are at last discarded in favor of my own. All of life is an illusion. This is something we do well to recognize and acknowledge. Physical life as we are experiencing it is not real. Our life experience is what we think it is. Each moment is what we experience it to be based on a whole series of internal decisions described in wonderful detail in the sections on the mechanics of the mind found in When Everything Changes, Change Everything. As Shakespeare wrote, nothing is evil lest thinking make it so. Descartes put it another way. I think, therefore I am. Now, how to make all of this practical in your daily life? That's the question. And here are a few suggestions. Create a Beliefs About God notebook. I'm a big one for notebooks, as you can tell. Taking note in a book that you can look at of what you feel, what you believe, how you move through life, and how you would choose to if you thought you could have your way is a valuable exercise. I often suggest making separate notebooks covering separate aspects of life, as opposed to a single running diary. This allows you to access quickly a record of your own thoughts and experiences on any given subject of major impact upon your life, and to track those thoughts and experiences throughout your life so that you can see where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. In your Beliefs About God notebook, make a list of all your current thoughts about God. If your thoughts about God, as they relate to a particular aspect of divinity, are unclear or unknown, just report that. Include in your notebook what you believe that God needs, what you believe that God requires, what you believe that God commands, and what you believe that God condemns. In the same notebook, indicate which of those things that you believe that God condemns, if any, you have done, if any. Answer the following questions in your notebook. Who do you believe to be the ultimate authority in your life? What is right and what is wrong? Just name some things. What is good and what is evil? Just name some things. What is appropriate and what is inappropriate? Just name some things. What is authentically you and what is not authentically you? One more time, just name some things. These last questions open huge topics, of course, so don't try to write a thesis for all mankind. Just jot down a few things that come to your mind. Then close your notebook and come back to it later. Now, after some time has passed, return to this notebook and look at the questions again, reviewing the short lists that you created as answers. Ask yourself, who said this is right and that is wrong? Who said this is good and that is evil? Who said this is appropriate and this is inappropriate? Who said this is authentically you and this is not authentically you? And in each category, why? What is the reason you have applied these labels? Look to see what this tells you about your current beliefs. Toward the center of this notebook, create a section called My Daily Report. And there, make a note each night for 30 days of any judgments or assessments you remember yourself having made that day about the topics above or similar aspects of your experience. Do this at the end of every day without fail for 1 month. Watch the changes in yourself as you watch yourself. Go to an online encyclopedia and look up the beliefs of all the major religions and a few of the minor ones. This is a long-term project, so do a little of it each week. Spend an hour here and an hour there and just give yourself permission to discover what people of various religions and faith traditions believe. As you make yourself aware of these things, ask yourself and record your answers about your beliefs about God in your beliefs about God notebook. What in that particular religion or tradition you hold as a part of your belief system. This last project is a wonderful activity for your body, mind, and soul. It will give you a chance to feel fully integrated regarding what you really think and declare is true in your own reality about the most important topic of your life, God. Let's do 3 together just to get you started. Seventh-day Adventists. Seventh-day Adventists believe in the unerring truth of Scripture and teach that salvation comes only through faith in Jesus Christ. Adventists believe in conditional immortality. They believe that human beings do not have an immortal soul that lives forever on its own, but rather that life can only continue eternally through the power of God. If one does not believe in God, one ceases to exist because one has willfully denied God's existence and power. There is no such place as hell, however. A human is not tortured, but simply ceases to be. Adventists also believe in thought inspiration, that God inspired the thoughts of the authors of the Bible, and that they then express those thoughts in their own words. How do these ideas line up with your own beliefs? Have you even thought about these things? If so, what are your thoughts and conclusions? Enter these in your notebook. If you have any other questions about religion, look up Seventh-day Adventists in the encyclopedia or any spiritual reference book, or just do an internet search on your computer. Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that God will soon end this present age of human existence. A heavenly government over earth established by Jesus Christ will replace existing human governments, and all non-witnesses will be destroyed, creating a society of true worshipers. Jehovah's Witnesses interpret much of the Bible literally and base all of their beliefs on the Bible as interpreted by the governing body. Jehovah's Witnesses believe God is the creator and supreme being. They believe God, whose name is Jehovah, is infinite but approachable. He resides in heaven and is not omnipresent. It is possible to have a personal relationship with God. He is kind and merciful and would not eternally torture wicked people in a place called hell. He does not force his own sovereignty on people, but saves only those who want to serve him. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Satan was originally an angel who developed feelings of self-importance and wanted to be worshipped as God. Satan persuaded Adam and Eve to obey him rather than God. Instead of destroying Satan, God decided to test the loyalty of the rest of humankind to see if, having been granted free will, people would obey God under both temptation and persecution. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Satan is God's enemy and the invisible ruler of the world. They believe that demons were originally angels who rebelled against God and took Satan's side in the controversy. Jehovah's Witnesses teach that God's kingdom is a literal government in heaven, established in 1914, ruled by Jesus Christ and 144,000 humans raised to heaven. God will use this kingdom to make earth a world free of crime, sickness, death, and poverty, and ultimately transforming earth into paradise. Witnesses believe that the soul does not continue to exist after one dies and consider death a state of non-existence. Witnesses believe that only hope for life after death is in the resurrection, in which God will recreate the same individual with a new body. They believe that 144,000 people will be resurrected to heaven to be priestly rulers under Christ. But the rest of humanity that believes will be regulated or relegated to physical life in a paradise on earth. Jehovah's Witnesses have consistently claimed to be the only true religion and believe all other religions are under the control of Satan. How do these ideas line up with your own beliefs? Have you even thought about these things? If so, what are your thoughts and conclusions? Enter these in your notebook. If you have other questions about religion, look up Jehovah's Witnesses in the encyclopedia or any spiritual reference, or just do an internet search on your computer. Baha'i faith. The Baha'i faith, founded by Baha'u'llah, I'm not saying that right, I'm sure, in the 19th century Persia, emphasizes the spiritual unity of all humankind. The Baha'i faith recognizes divine messengers throughout history, including Moses, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, who established religions that suited the needs of the time. For the Baha'i, the most recent messengers are Baha'u'llah and Baha'u'llah, and they believe Baha'u'llah's life and teachings fulfilled the end-time promises of previous scriptures. Baha'is believe that we today are called to establish peace, justice, and unity on a global scale. Baha'i doctrine is based on three core principles: the unity of God, the unity of religion, and the unity of humankind. They believe God periodically reveals his will through divine messengers, whose purpose is to transform humankind. Religion is thus seen as orderly, unified, and progressive from age to age. Per Baha'i writings, human beings have a rational soul, and thus we can recognize God's station and humanity's relationship with its creator. Every human has a duty to recognize God through his messengers and to conform to their teachings. Through recognition and obedience, service to humanity, regular prayer, and spiritual practice, the souls become closer to God, which they believe is the spiritual ideal. Baha'is believe that when one dies, the soul passes into the next world, where it is judged based on its spiritual development in the physical world and advances accordingly in the spiritual world. Heaven and hell are spiritual states of nearness or distance from God, not physical places of reward and punishment achieved after death. Soji Effendi, the appointed head of the religion from 1921 to 1957, wrote the following summary of what he considered to be the main principles of Baha'u'llah's teachings and faith of the Baha'i, and foundation of the Baha'i faith. Quote, the independent search after truth, unfettered by superstition or tradition, the oneness of the entire human race, the pivotal principle and fundamental doctrine of the faith, the basic unity of all religions, the condemnation of all forms of prejudice, whether religious, racial, class, or national, the harmony which must exist between religion and science, the equality of women and men, the two wings on which the bird of humankind is able to soar, the introduction of compulsory education, the adaptation of a universal auxiliary language, the abolition of the extremes of wealth and poverty, the institution of a world tribunal for the adjudication of disputes between nations, the exaltation of work performed in the spirit of service to the rank of worship, the glorification of justice as the ruling principle in human society, and of religion as a bulwark for the protection of all peoples and nations, and the establishment of a permanent and universal peace as the supreme goal of all mankind. These stand out as the essential elements which Baha'u'llah proclaimed. How do these ideas line up with your own beliefs? Have you even thought about these things? If so, what are your thoughts and conclusions? Enter these in your notebook. If you have other questions about the religion, look up the Baha'i faith in the encyclopedia or any spiritual reference book, or just do the internet in search on your computer. Comparing theologies. It might be interesting here to compare some of the teachings of these three faiths with the core messages in Conversations with God, as found in chapter 2 here. Is Conversations with God a religion? No. Emphatically and unequivocally, no. Is it a theology? Yes. Emphatically and unequivocally, yes. The dictionary defines theology as the study and analysis of God and of God's attributes and relationship to the universe. More broadly and closer to its origin and earliest use, we are told that at the website www.ehow.com that the word theology can be traced back through Old French and Latin to Greek theologus, meaning one who discourses on the gods, from theos, God, and logos, word. Given these parameters, Conversations with God is absolutely a theology or a study of God. Among other things, CWG points that there is no inherent or ineffable scripture from or about God. Books such as the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Upanishads, the Talmud, the Book of Mormon, the Vedas, and others are just that, books written by human beings in moments of great inspiration, but by human beings nonetheless. Thus, they can contain great wisdom and they can contain error. It is most beneficial to take no such book absolutely literally, word for word. CWG clearly advises on its pages that people should not and never take its words as God's truth, but rather place them in the for what it's worth department, considering them along with other sources of insight and wisdom that they have found in their life, but always referring ultimately to their own response to them, to their own deep knowing, to their own inner guidance, their own personal experience, as the only and ultimate authority in all things spiritual. Like the words of Ellen G. White, like the writings of Mary Baker Eddy, like the ideas of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, like the thoughts of Ernest Holmes, like the pronouncements of William Miller or Charles Taze Russell or Joseph Smith Jr. or Baha'u'llah or any human messenger. The messages received in conversations with God should be considered only the sharing of words by one human among many who have experienced them themselves, to have been inspired by the divine to bring through, illuminate, and clarify spiritual wisdom and insight that is not theirs, but was received by them through their imperfect human filter, to record and transmit as purely as they could. Unlike the others on the list above, however, I do not hope or wish, expect or request, suggest or recommend that a religion be created around the messages that have come through me. I hope only that they will be examined and explored deeply, that they will be accorded fair consideration and serious contemplation toward the end of what, if the CWG's messages are deemed workable and beneficial in people's lives, that they may be embraced and usefully applied in a person's day-to-day encounters, and will be helpful tools as in the fashioning of a more wonderful, more joyful, more peaceful, more glorious group experience upon the earth, all as part of the soul's eternal journey and of God's never-ending expression. End of chapter.
Thank you. I don't know what that noise was, but
That's my husband in the background. I apologize.
oh, okay. I was like, I don't know. I immediately looked around here and nothing here. But anyway, that is a very, very, very powerful chapter. Let's see. Okay. Who would like to start the conversation? Mirko, I see you've got your hand up. You go ahead, Mirko.
I have a question for you in our day-to-day life about this chapter, because in the past days, 2 days ago, I had a meeting with other Italian architects, and there was a person from the municipality of Florence, a city, a great city in Italy, that at one point said that they have installed, I think in English, installed all these video cameras in all the city, in every area of the city, because they think that in this way, they think they are proving that in this way they can control all the citizens, all the people, if they obey to the order of the municipality. In any case, for example, when there is a pandemic or other things, they can control all the movements, all the people with these cameras in the city. And we read in this chapter that at the beginning of these applying messages, Neale said that Neale asked to us to ask ourselves what is right and what is wrong what God needs, etc. My question for you, if you want to discuss this, because I think it's very, very important for not only in Florence today, but in the world, if we really need to control every movement of the other people in our city to create the future, like this person was saying, this politic was saying, do we really need, and the other thing is that many of these professional architects in this meeting, was a great meeting about sustainability, etc., but with the excuse of sustainability, they say that we have to approach with a top-down way to people to change their build, their home, their house in a sustainable way. Two things, and I have finished. We need the cameras to control people and to order to people what is the right way to live. And the second is we need the top-down approach to life in order to have the future that we want, we desire. And I have finished.
Thank you. I'm having a little trouble connecting the dots here. Am I the only one? Okay, well, ouch, ouch, ouch. My cat just bit me. Oh my God. Excuse me. Stop it. Stop it.
Bring that monkey.
Oh,
I have. Shall I say something?
yes.
Yeah. From what Mirko was saying, those kind of controls come from fear and from domination and from imposing a particular will on everyone. And the thing is, we are creative beings. And that's our life, isn't it? If we
Yes.
can't, if we don't have creativity, if we don't have, without the freedom to live the life, the possibilities, we don't actually have the freedom to live by these people, you know, with who wish to impose everything, which is being done. I know, I can see that. So what I thought about Neale's the reading is that it's very mental to me. What I understand is now, for anything to be processed, we need to feel it. And it won't ever be processed mentally. Mentally is skipping over the surface of stuff. And it's so superficial. And this is where we've been, so superficial. To feel something is painful, can be, probably is. And that's what Thich Nhat Hanh, I suppose, is sharing when he says suffering is part of the happiness, because without the sufferings, there's no depth. There's no transformation, no understanding opening to the heart. Anyway, that's just my little contribution. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And one of the things, sorry, that's my cat typing away. Okay.
He has a lot to say.
Yeah, he does. I'm going to show him where to say it in the bathroom in about 2 minutes. Anyway, I can understand that there could be concern about cameras being everywhere. but I immediately go to George Floyd.
Yeah.
And I think he probably would have been lost through the cracks.
Oh, for sure. And they reported it wrong too. They reported it as like an accidental, like he was just going to the thing. They didn't say that he died. When they first reported it in Minneapolis, whatever, they didn't report it as a death. It just said so and so went to the hospital. A man went to the hospital at that time, but they didn't say until all those
Right.
tapes came out on Facebook. And
And so I guess there's
Sorry.
that part of, that's okay, but there's that part of me that feels like, sadly, it is necessary.
Mm.
And I just watched another, I don't even know how I came across this morning, but there was a guy of color, a gentleman of color, and he was pulled over by the police, and he just very politely asked the police, and you can hear it all quite clearly. He said, and you can see it because it's on camera. Could you tell me why you pulled me over, officer? And the officer would not tell him why he pulled him over. And it took 3 policemen. They broke his window and they pulled him out of that car, put him down on the ground. And one of the first things I heard, it made my heart jump, is I cannot breathe.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of for, what were you going to say, Mary?
I wanted to say it's, I don't know, like the cameras and the control thing that Mirko was talking about reminds me of like in Venice where they had that system where you could like rat out your fellow citizens for doing something wrong. Like under the system with the doges, they had like the little boxes set up for you to put the note in there about what you're. So that's what it makes me think of, is that kind of overreach. And it's not there yet, but that's why it gives me a little shiver, that kind of thing. And what it also made me think of, because it's like, so Western civilization, big influences was the Greeks and the Romans, right? Italy is, what remains of what was the heart of the Roman Empire. And so I was thinking about how so much of the way our world works actually comes from those sources, right? And that sort of hierarchical, top-down way of doing things. So that's why that whole thing kind of made me feel uneasy. And I know that like with terrorism and stuff and everything going on in the world, cameras being everywhere is becoming a much more common thing. And, it's like when you think of it like that, it's like that's one thing. But this idea of controlling people's movements, like, with the pandemic, I guess making sure people aren't out on the street if they're not supposed to be or whatever, I don't know. That just really concerns me. I don't know. It's interesting. I have a lot of feelings. When I was in college, I was lucky enough to spend like 6 weeks in the summer in Florence. So when you mention like a meeting of architects in Italy, that's where my thought goes. And I think of all that beautiful, it's such a beautiful city. And I was actually kind of wondering idly, what's it like to be an architect in Italy? Because, the history of the architecture is just beautiful. And I don't know, there was just this sort of sadness to think about it like that. Okay, that's what I had to say.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else?
I'll just go ahead.
Go ahead, Glenda.
Yes. May I or will?
Oh, Ariana, go. Yeah, go.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, this control, of course, it's not good, but I think that all is going to this because also in Croatia are there are databases about people, and so all is going in this way, and I don't know where it's going to finish, but I didn't wanted to talk on this. Yes, I think this that all there is no privacy. It's problem. I don't know, or we would not have any secret, and then we said, okay, look me what I'm doing, look me something about me, my health. See, you can see all. To be total transparent. If we are total transparent, then maybe this control is not important if does not affect the behavior. But I wanted to say another thing. I think I was thinking that is very important that we remind ourselves that we are part of the God, because I don't know, when I feel bad, I don't feel part of the God, I think. But maybe some people, I don't know, make suicide because they don't feel as a part of the God. And so I think that is very important to remind ourselves we are bad state, maybe God is not complete without me. I'm part of the God, and also to look others as part of the God. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I hear you, and I think you made a lot of good points, as did Mary, and so did Mirko. Linda?
I want to just remind us all that the people who are making these decisions about putting up cameras or, you know, whatever the decisions and discussions are, that each of us is only as good for humanity as we've chosen to heal. So basically what I'm saying is it's a bunch of broken people making policy. And I think that the era that we are in is an era that is suggesting that we each need to heal ourselves so that we can be the expression of divinity that we are, as opposed to the expression of brokenness that we currently tend to be in mass. It's a very big shift. It's really, you know, it's really what the work is. And so it's difficult when we're in meetings, especially if they're higher ups, to be able to point out that, you know, maybe the motive behind these policies should be examined. You know, maybe the reason that we're doing this needs to be looked at, because the answer really is we're putting up cameras to watch people that are broken because they're broken and they're going to express their brokenness, and we need to be able to catch them and punish them for that. And it's a whole cycle where that has to be dismantled, because the point is not to catch people and punish people. I mean, that is the point currently, but that is not the divine point. The divine point is to reach out and help people and heal people. That's how we change what's happening on this planet. And I think we each individually have to carry that out into the world, because as we know, the majority of people that are out there right now are expressing their thoughts and feelings in broken ways, because they're themselves broken-hearted themselves. Over.
I think we just lost Bima.
Yeah, she said she had to leave.
She
Oh.
said she had to leave.
Oh, okay. Um,
Hmm.
That's a lot to think about. And Mirko, I want to let you have the floor again for just a minute because there's some things I want to bring up directly from what we read before we close this meeting up. Go ahead, Mirko.
I only want to thank you for your opinion and comments. I only want to say that in this group and with the books that we read in the last months, we have seen that there are the solutions without cameras. But we want to really don't want to change. This is the reality. We don't, with pandemics, with every disaster in the world, we don't want to change like the book that we are reading is saying, is asking at the beginning, is possible that there is something that we don't fully understand? And this is simple that people do broken things, like Linda said, because they are constrained by the system to do some things. We if we don't go in the direction, and we are not going only with the vaccines, this is not the meaning. We have to go by spiritual meaning in the direction of oneness. And the spiritual meaning for me in the practicality of life is not medical, is not a vaccine, is economical. If we don't change, I don't know in my lifetime if I will see this. We have to change the fact that, like the book saying the past chapter, the 5 people hold 19% of the riches of the world. So in I believe, and is obvious that if all people, even people that do not work, even if they don't want to work, they have to have their basic need met. And so in this way, this is the only way for me, for not having the needs of camera or people that rob, etc.
Yeah.
In other ways, I finish. In other ways, we choose to control people because we know in advance that they are going to do what they will do. This is a trick that we are choosing. I finish.
Thank you. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but I have underlined a couple of things in this reading that you did. Of course, let's see. I think that for me, something that really jumped out is the Jehovah's Witnesses part. And it says witnesses believe that the soul does not continue to exist after one dies and considers death a state of non-existence. Witnesses believe that the only hope for life after death is in the resurrection. And another religion that was brought up said something kind of similar. Though they mentioned things like there is no hell, but to be non-existent, that really kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't know if anybody else had anything to say about that.
What was it? Say it again.
It says Jehovah Witnesses believe that the soul does not continue to exist after one dies and considers death a state of non-existence. Witnesses believe that the only hope for life after death is in the resurrection. And there was another, wasn't the Baha'i, it was the other one.
Seventh-day Adventist.
Yes.
Seventh.
That I felt.
They don't understand that life, all life is energy, and the science is telling us in every way these things.
Yeah.
But these people don't understand, don't want to look the evidence of things. Like I said about economic things, all life is energy, and if we create this not balance, we live in the world of Jehovah, in the world of cameras, in the world of top down, in my opinion. Life is energy.
Yeah, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes forms.
That's right.
And I was thinking the irony is that I think a lot of atheists would say the same thing. You die and that's it. And yet, you know, I'm going to have a conversation like this with one of my atheist friends, because if you believe in the scientific concept of energy is not created or destroyed, then, you know, I think that would be an interesting conversation to have.
Mary, and the only thing that we can do, the only thing that matters is that we can impact the energy. This is
Right.
the only thing that we can do.
Yep.
We are impacting, in fact, this energy.
Yes.
And
with these beliefs.
I'm going to just throw out there, you know, he suggests researching the religions, right? So that's something that I did as a very early teenager. I think it was before I was actually a teenager. I was more like 11, because my mother had dragged me around to all kinds of different churches. My mother, I don't know if what she would have called herself. And she told me she didn't believe in God, but then she also would drag me around to go to all these different churches. And at an early age, I was like, I have to get to the bottom of this. I need to understand these different places that I've been. And so I did extensive research on religion. And what you will discover if you don't research them as they are, if you research where they came from, how they came into being, what you will discover is that you will trace yourself back to the exact same place and the exact same 4-letter word. Originally, religion was about love. Every religion was originally about love. Now it's about hating gay people. And, you know, I mean, like what we've perverted it.
Now they're about money a lot.
Right. What we've perverted it into over the centuries is something completely different. But if everyone were to understand the actual origins and take it all the way back to the beginning, we'd get to this word love, which, because they didn't have science at that point, they weren't talking energy back in the very beginning days. Love, on the other hand, is an energy they could feel and they understood. And so that's, to me, that's ultimately where we're trying to get to, that place of love. Yes. Universal, unconditional, holistic love.
Thank you. You made a really great point. And I don't know if anybody else, because there was a couple of other things I wanted to mention, but it is 1 o'clock. So thank you all for your comments, and thank you, Mirko, for your opening discussion as well.
Can we bring it up next time?
Yeah, I was going to say, save them, Nanette.
No, I'm going
save them
to.
and bring it back.
Yeah. I'm
Write them
going
down.
to. Yeah, there, I've got them underlined in my Kindle.
Because I might have a thing to say about it too, if I write it down to
Okay.
add to it. Yeah.
Write it down.
'Cause I had
Yeah.
something else. too.
Yeah, write it down.
Mhm.
Write it down, he says. Again,
Mhm.
write it down.
Yeah, that's right. Write it in your
Yeah.
notebook.
Yeah, write it in your
There you
notebook.
go.
Oh,
Okay.
let me say this. I have these, let me just show you this real quick. I have this notebook that I don't know if you can see on the edges. There's
Mhm.
different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
make these so you can get one notebook and then use the colored sections for the each different sections that Neale was
Ooh.
talking about.
Ooh, I want one of those.
I want
Just
one
a
of those
thought.
too.
You can find them at a, like I found mine at a Fred Meyer, so they're around.
Costco, Walmart.
Maybe Walmart. Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I'm sure you could Google it and figure
Yeah.
it out.
That's cool. I don't
Yeah, and this is very good idea. I will try to do
Yeah,
this.
because all
Right.
those notebooks was freaking me
Yeah.
out and making me anxious. But one with
All
different
those
colors
ones with the
makes me happy.
separators in them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, well, Mary, would you like to
Yep.
float us out of here?
I will.
Vote on
Because
Friday.
what Linda
No
was
cameras.
saying
cameras.
reminds me of there's a hymn or a song or something that I heard in some religious thing, church experience. Beloved, love one another's. He who loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. And I'm sure it comes from scriptures, but like that really is it, right? God is love. Love is the energy. Everything is energy. We are all energy. Everything is energy. And the energy is love. The energy of life, the material that everything is made of and comes back to, in my understanding. Yours may be different, but it's love, Love is it. Love is all there is. Love is this to me. So it's love, God, equal each other, right? So the all in all, the oneness that we are all pinpoint lights of, you can call it God, you can call it love, you can call it unity, you can call it oneness. We here in this circle understand that divine connection between all of us here in this circle, and we broaden that out into the world as much as we can. I mean, our human mind sometimes limits our understanding or our ability to embody that, but we do the best we can in every moment as we go through our life. And with that understanding of that oneness, that's what it is. The understanding of the oneness and the love underlying everything is what will change it, That's what would change this whole messed up paradigm that we're living in. So the more that each of us feels that reality, that I'm love, you're love, we're all divine love here in this together, and then we ripple that out into our sphere of influence. Can't be created or destroyed, but it can be influenced. And we're all just pouring that love into the world as we go about our week. How's that sound? Sounds good to me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Linda, for reading and hanging on a little bit longer than you usually
Thank you,
do.
Mary.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And we will see each other next week. And my cat won't be with me. It'll be in the bathroom.
There you
Well,
go.
He bit me in
Oh,
4 places.
In the bathroom.
Yeah, he bit me in 4 places and drew blood while we've been on this phone,
Oh my
on
God.
this call. I'm sitting
Jeez,
here.
Luce.
Yeah, he's not a very nice kitty. It's just my bleeding.
Hopefully he'll grow out of it.
I
Annette,
hope so. I'm ready to cry about it because I don't know how much more I can deal with it.
how old is he?
4
Six.
months.
Oh, 4 months.
Yeah, he's just
Hmm.
vicious. for like no reason. But
Is he wild? Just a wild cat or what? Where'd you get him?
I got it from somebody who had a litter of kittens.
I
Mm.
think he was too young. I had a kitten. So my neighbor got a kitten and she couldn't keep it because her old cat didn't like it. And I had just been saying how much I wanted a kitten. It was really a funny incidence of manifestation because I literally had been looking at a picture of a kitten on a computer and just said, I want a kitten, I want a kitten, I want a kitten, I want a kitten. And then my neighbor knocks on the door and says, my daughter brought me this kitten. I can't keep him. Do you want him? Seriously. So anyhow, he was a little black kitten and he was sweet when he was sweet, but he was too young and he was like that. And it was like biting me. And the thing is, I was working outside the home like 40 hours a week. So I wasn't home very much. And I'd come home and he would just be insane. And then I locked him in the bathroom because I just needed not to have him climbing up my leg and biting me and drawing blood and stuff. Then he would get so mad when I locked him in the bathroom. And then when I let him out, he was like demon cat. Anyhow, I'm sure yours is not quite as bad. And
How
I was
did you
like,
how
I
did you
can't
stop
handle
it?
this. I had to let go of him. I talked to a
did.
neighbor and
Yeah.
she knew a person who did cat rescue stuff. And they put him in a family that had a little bit older cats. So he could learn if he scratched and bit that, you know, the other cats would fight back with him and he could learn how to be a better cat, I hope.
Right.
I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I had him for 2 weeks and I was like, if I don't get rid of this cat, we're both going to be insane, you know? And I didn't want to make him unadoptable by, you know, locking him in the bathroom. So
Yeah.
I think the cat needs loving, Nanette. You're too judgmental. I'm judging you, but I hear judgment.
No,
And I
Nanette is
can
very
understand
loving.
it if you're bitten.
Nanette's
I
very
understand.
loving.
But we used to have a cat as well. It was quite ferocious, and I'd rescued her. Well, I gave her home because somebody needed to give her a home. And anyway, everybody in the family said, "Look, you got to get rid of this cat. She was climbing up on things and diving for my friend. He had a ball bit on the top of his head, and she put claws out. You know, it was like that. But when I went to see if that lady would have him back again, she said, "Oh, I'll have to put him in Cat's home then." So we kept her, and she just occasionally got very, very angry, and that was it. That was
Yeah,
it. But she
Have to
turned good.
Yeah, it's a trip. And it actually, I'm on the verge of tears right now. But
Nanette.
I
I
know.
think that I'm sorry. Can I say something?
Yeah.
Someone I know who did cat rescue said that when they get like really wild, you can sort of hold them tight.
Yeah.
Like, he's a little kitty, so you'd have to
Hug.
like, probably hold him with your
Hugging.
hands like that.
Mm.
But just to kind of calm them down, I don't know if that would help, but
Mm.
supposedly it helps.
Yeah, sadly, I'm really scared of the cat. And I'm sure the cat can pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
no
can.
good.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
anyway, I'll
Fear
keep you guys
no good.
posted.
I think fear is the opposite of love, isn't it, Nanette?
Yes, it is.
Yes, for
And
sure.
you know, Nanette, you can, I mean, cats don't understand words, but they
Call him
understand,
like a baby.
they understand energy. And you
Mm.
can wrap that little cat up in a pink bubble of
Mhm.
love and
Mhm.
try to like, you know, you can try to, I can send some energy if you want and see if it helps. I'll do that if you want.
You can
I
hold him like a
do.
baby. Carry him around like a baby and
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he is big enough and strong enough where I couldn't hold on to him.
you can't. You can't hold on to him, walk around. No.
Yeah,
Wrap
if
him in a
he's-
towel.
Yeah, I'd have to wrap him in a towel.
Blanket or something, little blankie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrap him in a towel. Maybe even get him a special little blankie, like that's extra
That's
soft.
what I do
and
with my cat.
cuddly.
She's a special one.
'Cause
Mhm.
my niece made me this lovely lap blanket for Christmas
Mhm.
for me and my cat. So I can put it on my
Yep.
lap and it's really soft and snuggly.
I did that when I got her. She was
Yeah.
really wild. She was a wild cat, and I just held her like a baby. I never had children, but she screamed, was crying, 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 and I couldn't get her to go to sleep. And I walked around the apartment the whole night, just like talking to her, like, baby talk, and it
Yeah.
helped.
And
She
I
stopped
think,
within a few days.
yeah, I think some kind of extra soft, plushy or fake fur, something nice that the cat will like to claw on, but that's soft and cuddly. I have several like sort of plush fleece blankets, and I have a fake fur thing. And she likes, but things like that she really loves to sort of claw on. Maybe if you got something like that, that's you can wrap him in and just hold him in that and see
Yeah.
if he can struggle a bit and then calm down. Do
Yeah.
you play with them? Do you have toys
Oh,
that
yeah.
you play with them a lot?
Oh, my
Like
God. Yes.
this thing you,
Like a
Yeah.
fishing line,
Yeah.
thing, and ball in a circle. And
yeah,
It doesn't help. Does he just have too much energy? Does
too
he?
much energy probably. Kittens, he's a kitten.
Yeah.
yeah. And I've had cats all my life. I've just never
Mm.
ever had one act this way.
Yeah, I had never had one like that little kitten that I had to let go of. It was just, I just couldn't.
I know, and I do love this cat.
Yeah,
And it'll break my little heart if I have to get rid of it, but I can't. You guys, when I went to have a procedure done on my back on Thursday, they saw all these scabs on my hands
hmm
and said, "What is going on?" And I said, "It's a cat." And they had to put it down in my records that I had all this stuff on my hands so that I couldn't turn around and blame them for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That neighbor who brought me that kitten, later on her cat died, and then she got a kitten, and it was like that kitten and your kitten. It was one of those ones that was like climbing up her legs and biting, and she had like bloody scabs all over her legs and everything. And I was like, I wouldn't keep that kitten, but she loved the kitten, so
We'll see.
I think the cat is scared, Nanette. Your cat is frightened.
I don't know what, and I mean, 'cause I'm not doing anything to him except for picking him up and throwing him off my lap when I'm
But
working.
just accepting that the cat is frightened. And actually, when I know I work with people who had mental health issues one time, and it was quite scary when there was like a big psychotic episode. And what I was explained to me was I was feeling the fear that they're feeling, and I'm holding. I was like, I suppose we're all energy, so I guess that's what happens.
Yeah, and I'm very aware of that, and and I'll have a couple days that are really good days. I'm not afraid of him. And the funny thing is, if he doesn't beat me, if I'm headed towards the bathroom, he runs in first and he wants to be there with me.
yeah.
And he doesn't do anything except for he did jump on my head with his claws out. But I told him, I said, you can't come into the bathroom with me. I mean, I just said you can't do it. And so when I come out of the bathroom, he's sitting right there waiting for me.
He's dominant male.
You
Must be
know.
dominant.
And it is what it is. But thanks for listening to me. I'll send you guys a check.
It's
Yeah.
communication, isn't it?
15 minutes. 15
Just-
minutes, $120.
Yeah.
Really.
That's
Just-
what they charge. Oh, it's
Just
ridiculous.
remember to communicate with your heart to the cat, like when you're,
Yeah.
you can use words, but use the energy behind it. Like my cat, this cat that I have now, Lucy, she used to bite me really too hard when I first got her.
Yeah.
And she's old. She was like 11 when I got her, but like she would bite me really hard. And I did train her out of that by being clearly upset, no, and take my hand away. And I would I would put her off my lap, you know? It's like,
Mm.
so she knew that there was a consequence. And
Yeah.
if she nibbled me gently, I'd be like, thank you, I like that, you know? And I
Is there
remember
a
like,
water bottle thing in that? Water spray bottle?
you don't want
You
to,
doing
I
that?
don't,
Yay. That's
don't
not
really
helping?
recommend it though. It's
Um,
like, that just makes your cat madder.
Mm.
Think about the thing that Mirko was talking about with the cameras and wanting to control people. Now think of your cat like a little toddler.
Yeah.
You know, it's anyway. I have
Psychology,
used the
Nanette,
water bottle in the
psychology.
past, and
Yeah.
my friend uses it too, but I just would never use it now on a cat that was mine. I used to spray the cat that would attack my cat outside the door because I didn't care if that cat liked me. But I just,
I
you know, I
actually-
used it on Cat Baloo and I saw her face and how she looked at me and I'm like, oh, I can't handle that betrayal.
I only used the water spray on when she was in the plants and stuff like that, or something I didn't
Yeah.
want her to get on the table. Then
Yeah.
she'd get the spray. Not when she was attacking me, because they never attacked me, but it's to deter them from doing a bad behavior.
Right, I understand.
Yeah. No, yeah, I know. It was just, that's the only reason I would use it. I wouldn't use it for attacking me. That's all. I wasn't saying you were. Like, I wasn't trying to explain it. I was just like, that's what I would use too for it. No.
I went to the vets once with my cat who was dying, and I had my poor little cat who was dying, and this cat sat up beside me. He had animals running around, and I was really grieving. My beautiful baby was going to, this was a terrible situation. And this cat caught hold of my arm through my what I had on and gave me a really ferocious bite.
Wow.
Wow.
I went on, and then he did it again. And then I said to the lady, and she said, "Oh, that's why we kept him, because they wanted, nobody could deal with him because he bites." But what he did for me, he made me feel so much better. The grief, he snapped me out of my grief. he snapped me out of my grief.
That's
Really,
cool.
I've never forgotten it. It was such an immediate thing and so surprising. I'm really grateful to that cat for his intelligence.
Yeah. I'm going to say one more thing and then I've got to run, but did you get that video I sent you, Anne?
I did, thank you, Nanette. I must talk to you about that. Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I love you guys, and thanks for the advice and thanks for the concern. Love you guys.
Love you
See you.
too. Love
All
you
right.
all.
All right.
Next week.
Take care.
Have a good
All
week,
right.
everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
The cat will get better.
Yes, it must. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.